What is up? Got a trade recap for today. Took a fucking loss. What is going on? I'm not mad at the loss today, actually. I thought it was a pretty valid setup. I don't really know what market is doing currently right now, but we're going to go and see exactly what market wants to do. So we're going to go. Hold on. All right, coming into the day, market opened around right here. Low key, I was thinking shorts. I had a short bias today. Even when we came up to here, we respected a 1 hour and we are just pushing higher to want to go to all time highs right now. Maybe it was because we had FOMC meeting minutes today. Maybe that did something to us. Or FOMC member Logan speaks and FOMC Bar was speaking and Goldsby was speaking. But those are yellow folder. But we're going to get into it on exactly what we saw going into the day. Does it feel good that I just took a loss? No, not really. Especially that I took a loss yesterday that I could have avoided. 100% I could have avoided that loss yesterday. But, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Let's exit. Get rid of this in the corner. Just go. Start new. Sig new. All right, coming into the day. What do we see on NASDAQ? ES ended up giving us a way better play today. I'm not going to lie, and I'll run over that. So coming into today, we look on the 4 hour. We had, well, this has been inverse. We had a 4 hour gap that was sitting right here. We were only playing into it like right around here, right? We go into the 1 hour. The 1 hour too, we had 1 hour. We have not broken structure. I thought that we were going to be short-term bullish, long-term bearish. Especially because we had draws of liquidity all resting below here. And everything else was just way up here. Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. We can go to the 15 minute, the 5 minute. Let's go to the 5 minute. Let's select the bar. What did we see right off the bat? Market opens. We get the liquidity sweep. While we were pushing higher here, ES, which I will show over here. ES in the 5 minute. Once it swept liquidity, we ended up getting a order block right here. We ended up also getting, I wonder if I can select the bar and take it back to here. I can. So first off the bat, ES swept highs, NASDAQ swept 1 hour highs as well. We ended up getting a retracement down. We got a 5 minute break of structure, and we ended up getting a bearish for value gap that got put in, and a 1 minute and a 5 minute order block. What I wanted to see was price come up to this point, fill in this, give a break of structure, and we could target lows. Did that happen? No. Price ended up pushing higher, and we got a huge push up the rest of the day. On that push up, I don't know what we could have maybe entered off of, because let's look on the 5 minute on NASDAQ. Let's just say NASDAQ gave us a liquidity sweep. We ended up getting a 5 minute break as well. We did not retrace into anything for a while, right? So we're going to go back to here for where I was getting into my entry. We're playing into, we inversed the 4 hour, which is giving us very bullish, but we were playing into the 1 hour and the 1 hour close. We respected the 1 hour, right? We had the 5 minute right here. We ended up getting a 5 minute SMT and a 1 minute break of structure, which is where I ended up getting in. We'll just let this play out a little bit. We come into the 5 minute. Let's just mark something out to note this. We come into the 5 minute, completely fill it. So I had a feeling that if we want to come back down into that, we're probably going to want to inverse. We end up getting a lower high get put in, and we end up looking for a break of structure. You'll see that in a second. Lower high gets put in because NASDAQ pushed higher than this point. We get the break of structure. I entered in. I put my stops up to this high. And so we had the 5 minute SMT, 1 minute break of structure, and where I was targeting was all the way back down. And like I said, on this 1 hour closed respecting this gap. So I thought too that was going to give us a push lower and target all the way back down to here, right? Which would have been a pretty nuts RR. I risked $200 on this, and from yesterday, I wouldn't even be down on the account if I didn't make that mistake yesterday. I got faked out in the first part of yesterday, and then the second trade, I ended up having my stop loss in a bad place, which happens. I've learned from it. Today's stop loss is in a good place. It's just trade got invalidated. And I'm kind of annoyed because if I didn't make that mistake yesterday, I would be still fine on this account, but right now I'm down $700 on the Express. So we're going to have to make a comeback. I'm going to continue to be smart with my risk management. I'm not just going to start full porting now to get the account back. Because all I need is like, risk $200, hit like a 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and we're basically back on that account. We'll basically be fine. And that's just how I was thinking about it. But as you can see, we come back down into this 5-minute. We inverse on the 5-minute that we completely filled, and we got a 5-minute break of structure. And then as soon as we get that, we're in profit too. So I'm going to go into Top Step over here, Top Step X, to show you guys. We'll log in. That's so annoying. I hate how this puts this over here. When I log into Top Step, I wish I didn't do that. We were in profit too. So the profit we were in, FYI, that ran for almost a 1 to 2, but that's not enough to fucking take out. I was only in for 5 micros today. As you can tell, realized profit and loss $279. I just locked myself out. Yeah, it was some goofy tomfoolery, that's for sure. 5-minute SMT, so when we can mark that out as well, which was right here. 5-minute SMT, we ended up getting a 1-minute break of structure, which is where I entered in. And we ended up getting the break of structure. We pushed lower. Like I said, we were in profit. It just price ended up coming back up and invalidating that SMT. I know a couple of people that ended up getting in on this trade today. So I'm not mad at the loss. I just want to understand maybe what happened. Especially that, we came and inversed on this 5-minute, right? But then what did we come and do? We tapped into this 5-minute, immediately rejected off of it. Was there a 30-minute? We didn't really come into this 30-minute, I mean, somewhat we did. But it just didn't want to play out. And that's part of the game. That's the thing, too, is coming into the day, we can look on the 4-hour, too. Let's mark up equilibrium on the 4-hour, which is also what gave me my bearish buys today. We mark up the high, we mark up the low. We were coming into premium price range and a 79% extension closure, which I thought, especially with that 1-hour closing and respecting that, I was very confident with this going bearish. And I was wrong today. I was 100% wrong today with that SMT, and that's perfectly fine. It's just understanding that and journaling it. So yeah, I entered in off of the 5-minute SMT, 1-minute break of structure. And then we ended up, after I got in, we ended up inversing on the 5-minute and everything. It's just we ended up rejecting off of that. And on the 1-minute, it looks a lot cleaner with how far it went. You know, it just wanted to come all the way back up and stop your boy out, which sucks, but, you know, that happens. That's a part of trading. Losses are a part of trading. And the only thing that I'm upset about with is yesterday, because I could have had a $1,000 day, and I'd only be up. And with this $200 loss, I'd be up like $800 on the account. But because I put my stop in that goofy place yesterday, and I posted the trade recap, because I put my stop in that place yesterday, I wasn't able to eat on that good dub. So, and losses are a part of the game. It's just understanding that and having good risk management with that. I'm not going to go in tomorrow. Tomorrow will be an iffy day for me. I know we have Jerome Powell speaking, but that's before market open. If it's not super volatile price action before market open, then I'll still be looking to trade, ideally. But I'm going to go in tomorrow, keep risking the same amount that I have been, which is under 1%. I'm risking $200 to $230. Today I risked $240. I was a little one contract over than what I should have been. And it just didn't play out. And if it did play out, that would have been $1,600 on the day, and your boy would be up. But that's just not the case for today, and that didn't happen. My drawn liquidity was wrong. Yesterday, my drawn liquidity was correct. My execution where I entered in was beautiful too. It was just the stop loss was the thing I messed up, and it's those small little minor issues, which I've learned. I watched some videos on that last night, and I don't think I'll ever make another stop loss mistake again. Or if I do, it'll be way less frequently. That's just how it is. I mean, we can look on the 1 hour too. What are we playing into? Well, that 1 hour, it closes in 20 minutes. It's probably going to inverse this and go all the way to all-time highs. That's just the way it wants to be. The 4 hour too, the 4 hour got inverse. Maybe that would have gave me that bias. But like I said, I thought I was going to inverse to want to push us into that 79% extension closure. It's like you can't do much about it. We can go on the fib retracement, like I said, and hold on. Go on the fib retracement, put it out there. Yeah, we were basically at 79% extension closure, and I thought that after we got that, that thing was going to tank lower. Was not the case, and we were wrong. But it's important to journal these. It's important to learn from your mistakes. I don't know if today was probably just a probability. I like the setup. I thought it was a great setup. It's just potentially was just probability and how the market ends up playing out. And that's why it's important to understand to have good risk management because your losses are going to happen. Um, it just sucks because yesterday, if I would have capitalized on that win yesterday, this loss wouldn't really fucking matter at all. But it's the fact that I screwed myself over on that that win yesterday, and then I took a loss today. So we're starting off the Express a little rough, which is fine because I do know that at the end of the day, I know people who are $50 away from blowing their Express account, and they ended up coming back and taking multiple payouts. My minimum loss limit that I can do, maximum loss limit. Do not let your account balance drop below this value. Distance, still $2,266 away from that. So I'd have to take a lot of losses in a row. Right now we're at 2 losses in a row, or 3 because I got faked out yesterday before that win. I still got some movement. I'm going to continue to risk $200, and I know it's not the end. It's nice to read this and know that I'm still $2,000 away. If I keep risking $200, I mean, you do the math. It'd be hard for me to blow this account unless I'm taking really stupid setups. So I'm not mad at this at all. It just would have been nicer, obviously, to take a win. We don't like to take losses, but it's just learning from them. I locked myself out of the account so I don't revenge trade and I don't get back in. Yesterday I got faked out, which I should have just gotten off after that and learned from it. Even though the trade after that I did take was a winner, it just, like I said, my stop loss issue. And if you are curious about that, go watch the last video on what I did wrong with my stop loss. Today, though, stop loss was good because with the SMT, I put it at the high of the SMT. And if price goes past that point, it invalidates the setup. And we were just retarded. And it did. And it invalidated the setup. It would have been nicer to see, especially with the inverse. And that's why inverses, to me, don't mean much. Like, if you're going to enter in on inverses, it's the stupidest thing. How I like to see is a liquidity sweep, break a structure, or an inverse fair value gap for confirmation confluence is to tell us like bullish or bearish order flow. But then after we get the retracement, I only enter off of break of structures or an inverse retrace then break a structure. I look at that as like a fucking powered up inverse fair value gap. But break of structure is the only thing I enter off of, and that's what we entered off of today. We ended up getting a clean break of structure. I mean, it was clean, and like I said, it pushed into profit. Got a clean break of structure. We entered in on a little bit of the pullback, so I got in right there. Like I said, I was targeting a 1 to 7 RR, which would have been incredible. I mean, that would have been, like I said, $1,600 today, risking 230, 240. It's just not capitalizing. But, you know, we're going back to all-time highs. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch a huge risk to reward tomorrow if we do see a setup. And not only that, I don't want to overtrade. Like, tomorrow I'm going to be very, very picky with what I'm seeing, ideally. Yeah, it's not looking too good as of right now, which is fine because I know that most it's going to happen while you're trading. Make sure to understand, embrace, and use them to your advantage. Sometimes they can even be helpful, and then your overall P&L is consider reviewing your strategy. Okay, bro. Which is true because, like I said, with the stop loss issue. Now, I'd say like I said, I'm a break-even trader at this point. So I like to look at it as I'm going to make these small mistakes or these mistakes over time. And it's just important when I do make those mistakes, I learn from them and I move along. So yesterday I made a stop loss issue. I had a stop loss issue, and then I went and watched some stop loss videos to really engrave it in my head. And I took notes on it in here. And I don't plan on ever making a stop loss issue again, unless, like I said, it's way less frequently, but it shouldn't happen really anymore. But we learn from it. I mean, but yeah, it's not over. It is not over until I win. I'm going to continue to risk $200, continue to take A+ setups, and when I make mistakes, learn from them. Today, I just don't really understand. Like, even when we're looking at the pairs, like I said, coming into the day, after we swept 1 hour highs, there's literally like no retracements into it. Maybe on the 15-minute. Let's look on the 15-minute. We did get a 15-minute break of structure. So that's something I want to mark up. We got a 15-minute break of structure. We're going to see what potentially could have gone long on here. 15-minute break of structure. No 5-minute retracement. So that's still like something I just wouldn't have liked. Maybe up here you get a 5-minute retracement, but then break a structure, but then it stops you out. So That's what I'm questioning, because even once we got the 15, if we're looking on the higher time frame, once we sub ties and we got a 15-minute break of structure, we want to see a 5-minute retracement, not a 1 minute, but a 5-minute retracement. And there's a 5-minute gap right here, but this candle did not retrace down into it, and we just continued on. We can go into the 2-minute. The 2-minute didn't retrace into that as well. The 2-minute retraced into here and then gave a break of structure. Maybe this was the long entry. But it's still, I want to see, if I'm playing off a 15-minute break of structure, I want to see a 5-minute retracement, not a 2-minute, not a 1 minute. So I wouldn't even have taken anything here. But once we broke the structure, if we retrace into this 5-minute, let's just say we came down in this 5-minute gap, like, I'll just mark this up just to give a hypothetical. We came down into that 5-minute gap. Let's say we came down into it and then we get a break of structure out of it, then I would take longs. Like, we filled in here, we get a break of structure, and then I would take longs potentially. But like I said, it also goes against my bias today. And obviously my bias is wrong, but I feel like I had pretty good reason to have this bias. Like I said, with 4-hour equilibrium and 79% extension closure. It's just tricky to me, especially with, like I said, that 1 hour. If we go to the 1 hour, the 4-hour inverse, so that was obviously bullish, but then on the 1 hour, it's different. 1 hour respects this gap after we're in the trade, which gave me very bearish confidence. I'm like, oh, I would like to see us now push lower, especially with the equilibrium in mind on the higher time frames. And we also have the 5-minute SMT and a 1-minute break of structure and a 5-minute inverse and a 5-minute break of structure, which I'll mark up the 5-minute break of structure as well. Get rid of this one. No, we'll leave that. I was confident that after this point, we were going to go lower, but as soon as that happened, we rejected off of it. And maybe it was because of this 5-minute gap. Maybe, I mean, is that a fill? It's not a good fill, but it tapped into it, respected it, and it pushed us higher. We got a 5-minute break and everything just to push lower into here, respect it, and push higher. So this might have been the reason I lost this trade. I mean, yeah, and this is a 15-minute gap, so we can just take this from here. It's a 15-minute gap, it fills. We do get a 5-minute break. Maybe you can get a setup right now on like a 1-minute retracement. Yeah, but what's the RR? Let's go to mark this out. Retrace into that gap. I don't like the stop loss either. Let me just mark this out just to get the idea. But even retrace into the 5-minute gap. Well, let me look at that again. 15-minute retracement, 5-minute break of structure. We're looking for a 1-minute retracement, which we did get, which would be, let's get rid of this. Be a 1-minute retracement. Playing out of a 1-minute gap, we enter on the break of structure, which would be like this. Put your stops at the low. You can target all the way to all-time highs. Would I take this? No, I already took my loss today, so I'm just done. But maybe that's the setup you could get. If there still is that 5-minute, it might want to retrace down into as well. That is right around here. But I mean, yeah, that would be in take profit right now. Either way, I got cooked, so we're getting off. I'm going to mark that out, though, because maybe that's the setup. Like I said, we get a 15-minute retracement into this gap. We get a 5-minute break of structure. After we retrace, we get a 5-minute break of structure, which is up here, and then we get a 1-minute retracement and a 1-minute break of structure, which would be, just mark that out, 1-minute break of structure. And yeah, you could have gone in right there. Yep. Cooked. I'm off for the day, though. I locked myself out. I can't even get in on a trade right now, so that's perfectly fine. But yeah, that's how it goes. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I need to cover before I end up closing this video and getting off, but no. Bias was wrong today. I know TGR took a W today. I'm pretty sure he took longs. I don't know where he got in though, so I might watch his video. But yeah, I'll be on tomorrow most likely. Like I said, with tomorrow we have Fed Chair Powell speaks. We have unemployment claims, which is tentative. We don't know when that's going to be. Otherwise, other than that, we have natural gas storage. We have a bunch of yellow folders. So we're going to see with what that wants to do. Everything's all eyes are on Powell and the unemployment claims for sure. Just got to be very careful. Watch this fucking play out. Crazy. I mean, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'll be getting off. Peace and have a wonderful day.